Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're demystifying the invisible layers of tech tracking your device at this very second. Have you ever stopped to think about just how deeply connected you are to the physical world around you through that tiny computer in your pocket? We are answering one massive question. How exactly does your phone find your exact location, even without GPS? Picture this. You turn everything off, you walk into a massive concrete building, head down into an underground stairwell, and yet your phone still somehow knows exactly which room you're in. I mean, how is that even possible without a clear connection to the sky or a cell network? Well, to understand this invisible web, we have to peel back the layers of location technology one by one.
So let's start with layer 1, the GPS illusion.
See, most folks assume the Global Positioning System, GPS, is doing all the heavy lifting for our maps. And sure, it's the system we know best. Built by the military, there are 31 of these GPS satellites, orbiting roughly 12,000 miles above Earth right now. And get this, each one carries highly precise atomic clocks accurate to a few billionths of a second. Your phone is basically just listening for timestamp signals from at least 4 of these satellites. Because the speed of light is constant, your phone calculates exactly how far away each satellite is based on how long the signal took to reach you.
Now here's a massive misconception. People always say, oh, my phone is triangulating my position. But actually, scratch that. GPS relies on a concept called trilateration. Unlike triangulation, which uses angles, trilateration calculates your exact spot based purely on the intersecting distances from known points. In this case, those 4 satellites out in space.
But here's the thing. GPS has one fatal flaw. It absolutely requires a clear line of sight to the sky. So, the second you walk into a shopping mall, an underground parking garage, or even just a street lined with really tall skyscrapers, GPS completely falls apart. The signals bounce off buildings, creating confusing digital echoes, or they just don't arrive at all. And that brings us to layer 2, the macro backups, cell and Wi-Fi.
When GPS inevitably drops, your phone instantly peels back to a hidden backup system. Sure, cell towers can give a rough area, but to get incredibly precise, your phone taps into Wi-Fi. And the wild part is, you don't even need to be connected to a network for this to work. Your device is just constantly scanning the airwaves for the unique identifier, called a MAC address, which is basically a digital name tag of every single Wi-Fi router broadcasting nearby.
It literally acts like a digital detective. First, it detects unique combinations of nearby routers. Then, it queries a massive global location database. Finally, by measuring the received signal strength indicator, which is really just a fancy way of saying how loud the signal is, it triangulates an almost exact fingerprint of your location.
Now, you might be wondering, how does this global database know where all these routers are in the first place? Well, it's a crowdsourced masterpiece. For over a decade, billions of smartphones with their GPS and Wi-Fi active have been quietly noting the coordinates of every Wi-Fi router they pass. So yeah, your phone, and everyone else's, has been secretly mapping the physical locations of routers worldwide, creating this incredibly dense, constantly updating reference map.
But what happens indoors when Wi-Fi isn't quite precise enough? We move to layer 3, the micro backups, Bluetooth and light.
Places like retail stores, warehouses, and massive hospitals often install BLE, or Bluetooth Low Energy, beacons. These are tiny, battery-operated devices broadcasting a really small signal. By measuring the strength from 3 or more of these beacons, your phone can pinpoint you down to the literal aisle you're standing in.
And it gets even crazier. Some cutting-edge facilities use a technology called visual light communications. Specialized overhead LEDs flicker at frequencies totally invisible to our eyes. Your phone's camera detects this flicker, reads an ID code, and calculates its position based on the angle of the light beam. It's like having microscopic GPS satellites embedded right in the ceiling.
So what if there are no signals at all? Enter layer 4, navigating blind with internal sensors. If you walk into a total dead zone, your phone doesn't just lose you. It actually shifts to dead reckoning, the exact same navigation method submarines have used for decades to run blind. It relies purely on internal microsensors. By using its accelerometer to measure speed and a gyroscope to measure rotation, it just calculates your new spot based purely on your motion from your last known location.
It even uses a built-in barometer to measure the local atmospheric pressure. Since air pressure drops predictably as you gain altitude, your phone can detect elevation changes as incredibly small as 0.3 meters. It literally feels the air pressure change to know exactly when you've climbed a single flight of stairs. No way, right?
And that leads us to the climax of this whole system, the magic of sensor fusion.
Here's the real trick. Your phone isn't just picking one of these methods and hoping for the best. Through sensor fusion, it runs a silent, constant competition between all of them simultaneously. It takes the time and distance from GPS, signal strength from Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, and air pressure from the barometer. It instantly switches to and blends whichever data streams are most reliable in that exact fraction of a second. That is the true magic of how it always seems to know where you are.
But looking ahead, we are hitting a massive data wall. Let's look at Layer 5, the quantum tracking future.
With the explosion of smart devices, classic fingerprint matching algorithms are seriously struggling to scale to this worldwide density. So researchers are actually proposing a quantum Euclidean similarity algorithm. Instead of painfully comparing your phone's signal against millions of database entries one by one, it uses quantum physics to entangle signals and check all the data in parallel, simultaneously. We are looking at a future with exponential savings in storage and time, where worldwide tracking isn't just precise, it's instantaneously calculated all at once.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a fascinating paradigm. You can actually opt your home router out of these global databases just by adding _nomap to the end of your Wi-Fi name, but almost nobody does it. So you gotta ask yourself, is the incredible convenience of this invisible web, getting perfect directions indoors, finding your lost devices, is it worth the reality of our phones constantly, silently crowdsourcing a map of our every move? Think about that the next time your Maps app pinpoints you perfectly inside a concrete building,